With content writing, there's always this fear that people have that, AI tools like Copy AI, Jasper AI can steal away the USP that a content writer would have, right? What are your views on this?
You cannot say I'll charge $200 and then write something really trashy. As a writer, if you don't enjoy what you're writing, then there is no point because your audience will be able to see that fakeness in your word and you're not going to be successful by that. Like they pay you a lot more compared to LinkedIn posts or Twitter threads. There are so many different variations. Like I know writers in India who charge like 30 paisa per word, and there are people who charge $1 per word as well.
Hi everyone, I'm Ishan Sharma, and in the next 20 to 30 minutes, you're going to get a complete idea of content writing. Content writing start kaise karte hain, how can you earn as a content writer, and what are the platforms that you can go to learn it, along with the free resources. With me, I have Anangsha. How are you doing there, Anangsha?
Hello Ishan, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm doing really good and I'm super excited to share my journey and talk about content writing as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for taking all the time for doing this. Guys, Anangsha is the top writer on Quora as well as Medium, and she has years of experience as a content writer. So we shall be learning from her journey and what were the best lessons that she has in her experience. So the first question, Anangsha, that I have for you is, how can someone get started in this field and what is the scope of content writing? You can also share your own journey in this question.
Yes, sure. So the journey for every person would be really different, right? Like I started in some way, somebody else might start in another way. So the first step which I did was I just published my work online without any expectation of getting paid or being a content writer. So I think the first step for any person who wants to be a content writer would be to have your own personal brand, right? So that people see your name and they recognize that, okay, this person is an expert in this field and they know about you, and then your brand value, your personal brand value also increases. So I think the first step is to pick a platform, any platform. There are so many platforms you can write, right? There is Quora, like you mentioned, there is Medium. Nowadays, LinkedIn is also an amazing platform to write. So you can just pick a platform, start publishing your work there, and you can also build a website like on WordPress or Ghost and start publishing your long form content there. And once you have established some form of personal brand that people recognize you have an audience, then you can start approaching clients or you can start approaching brands to write content for them. That is what I did in the starting of my journey, and I think that should work for anybody who's looking to get started in content writing. And since you asked for scope, I believe that the scope is truly like great for content writers in the world, but the competition is also super high because with the internet enabling so many people, right? Many people are starting out as content writers. So the only thing that will save you from the protection is your personal brand and how high quality your articles or your content is. So yeah, I guess the way to set yourself apart from the competition and give yourself an unfair advantage is to have your own community, your own personal brand. And I think Ishan, you would also know that because as a YouTuber, you have established like a great community of like followers, right? So I think you would agree with that.
I think it definitely helps with creating the trust with the client, and that just makes it a lot easier for them to convert and they would want to work with you, right? Anangsha, with content writing, there's always this fear that people have that, AI tools like Copy AI, Jasper AI, there are so many of them, right, can steal away the USP that a content writer would have, right? So what are your views on this, and like, what do you think people can do to like still become better than AI tools, or how can they use AI tools to ship faster as a content writer?
Right. So I recently, I was talking with a friend who works in Microsoft Research, who is like working on the next version of ChatGPT. And that friend was telling me that the next version, GPT-5, is going to be like insane crazy and it's going to like completely replace human writers. So this AI wave is coming, like we love it or hate it, there is no escaping the AI wave. But as a writer, right? As a writer, if you have your loyal audience, if you have your people who really believe in you, then I think you should be safe. And also one more thing is, like as a reader, right? Like I personally, when I want information, I would be okay with reading an article that's written by AI. But when I want to feel something, when I want to feel that sense of inspiration or that sense of escaping my reality, right? I don't think that AI can do that. Like, for me as a reader, as a writer, I have read so many articles that are written by AI, and I can tell that this is like written by AI. It has no soul in it. It has no heart in it. And I think many readers on the internet can tell as well. So to stand out or to, make yourself AI proof, I think the key is to include that personal element in your articles. Like, even if you're writing something really technical, if you can include your own experience, your own perspectives, then that article will stand out. Like, I'll give you an example of book reviews. So AI can do book reviews very easily, right? You just have to tell the AI, write a summary of this book, and you'll get a summary. But what the AI can't do is, it can't tell a story of how you found that book as a reader, right? Where you found it, what it made you feel, how it has impacted your life. If you add all these elements, I'm sure the reader would appreciate it as well, because sometimes readers, they want to read only a book summary, that's all. But sometimes readers, they are looking for really moving, thought-provoking, insightful stories, right? So in that case, your personal insight, your personalized, all the elements that you add in the story, I think they will help you stand out and, have that connect, that emotional connect with the reader. Because I don't think AI stories can create that emotional connect, but you as a writer, as a human, you can do that. So that is like your superpower, your vulnerability, your authenticity. And I think you should bring it out more and more. Like, just quit writing, quit templates. Like, even on LinkedIn, right? People talk about templates all the time, but just because AI can do templates as well. If you can do templates, AI can do it as well. So forget templates. Try and, break the rules and not stick to any rules, and be authentic, as vulnerable as possible, while remembering to deliver value to the reader. So if you can mix and match this and hit that sweet spot, I think you should be safe from AI.
So Anangsha, one more question. Again, you talked about a bunch of different things. This question was, what are the free resources, and like, how can someone start following the right mentors online so that they can become a better content writer, right? So what are the free courses, articles, blogs, or books that you would recommend people to get started with content writing?
Right. So the one book that really helped me was this book by William Zissner. The book is called How to Write. I think the author is William Zissner. What happens is, right, with us Indians, we are so used to writing in Indian English, but when we want to really make money as a content writer, it helps having global brands, right? People from outside the country who are willing to pay in US dollars. So the key is to be able to write in US English and to be able to write in a way for a global audience. So this book really helped me. Aside from that, when you're writing online, right, when you're scrolling on LinkedIn or you're scrolling on Medium, when you see people whose articles are doing really good, whose work you really appreciate, what I did at the start of my journey was, I used to just go to the platforms like on Medium. I used to follow the people whose articles came up on my feed all the time, and I used to understand the article structure. I used to try to reverse engineer it to fit into mine. So I did not really take up any course, or I did not really, go to any free resource. What I did was, it was like a lot of active learning. Like, you read what is working on it, and then you try to reverse engineer that and try to apply that to your own writing. And I believe that this is a very continuous process. Even when you are like miles ahead or years ahead in your journey, you can still keep learning from the people who are doing good. And it's very easy to find people who are doing good. You just have to go to any platform, and all the top stories that come up, those are the successful stories, right? So you read them, you try to analyze them with a very critical mindset and try to break it down into a template, what works for this person and how you can make it work for you as well. So yeah, that is like my, secret of learning or continuously how to keep learning in the field of writing.
Very interesting, Anangsha. There are various different ways of content writers, right? There are different types of content writers. Number one could be someone who writes for book authors, right? So a ghostwriter. One could also be someone who writes LinkedIn articles. One can be someone who creates Twitter threads. One can be someone who focuses on any other form of social media content writing. So how can someone who's watching this video pick one niche to go deep into? and how can they decide what are the pros and cons of each and what is the scope of each, right? Like for example, right now LinkedIn personal branding is increasing a lot, so there's a huge wave of LinkedIn personal branding freelancers who help CEOs and CXOs build their brand by writing articles and blog posts for them. So how can they figure out which direction to go towards?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Ishan. And I think to figure out a niche, you need to know yourself, because you can't pick a niche based on what is working, right? You need to enjoy it as well. As a writer, if you don't enjoy what you're writing, then there is no point, because your audience will be able to see that fakeness in your words and you're not going to be successful by that. So I think the first step is to practice, right? Practice writing all types of content, right? Write LinkedIn posts, write long form articles. You can write Twitter threads as well. Just practice. And you can see that which type of content, which format of content ignites that spark in you, which makes you feel really good, makes you feel really accomplished. And also the results, like when you're first writing on your own, you won't start as a ghostwriter from day one, right? You would obviously first write for your own profile or for your own personal brand. So when you publish on your own profile, which type of content gets you the most engagement? This means that the audience also likes this content from you. That means you must be really good at it. So I think that you need to spend a few months, a few weeks at least, trying out the various forms of content. Then you can figure out which one works for you. Also, one more thing here is that as a writer, right, as somebody who's been in this online writing scene for almost 8 years, I feel that the most valuable content that is there on the internet is long form articles. First of all, they pay you more, they pay you a lot more compared to LinkedIn posts or Twitter threads, because the word count is more, right? And the second point is these articles have a very long life. Like a LinkedIn post or a Twitter thread will be viral for a week, maximum a month, then it will go away. There is no way to even search for it on Google, right? But if you write a really nice SEO long form article, you can find that article even after 10 years. So this kind of content is most valuable for brands as well. So they are willing to pay you more for long form articles. And as a writer, if you want to build a personal brand, I believe that having some good quality long form articles in your portfolio definitely help. And you will also learn the art of SEO. You will also learn how to get your articles to rank on Google. But again, SEO is a whole different game. If we start talking about that, we won't be done for hours. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on this.
Makes sense. So you mentioned about getting paid, right, as a content writer. So let's go to that part, right? How can someone become a freelance content writer, right? So how can they change their mindset, and how much should they be charging for what they are writing, right? And how can they find their clients? What are the best platforms that they should be writing on that can help them increase their chances of making money as a content writer?
Sure. Again, that's a very vast question. The answers will be very different for many people, their journeys, depending on their journeys, right? I'll tell you what worked for me and for a few students who I coached. So basically, my first advice to anybody who wants to get started is always to build a very strong portfolio that nobody can argue against. So pick a platform. Medium is a really great platform to write long form content. You can also write long form content on your own personal website. So you can build a website and you can publish your long form articles, at least 1,000 word articles on the website or on Medium. First of all, just start writing. Write 10 articles, 20 articles. Figure out what your niche is, what you enjoy most writing about. It can be anything. It can be your love for cricket or your love for reading books. It can be anything. So once you have say 20 articles in your portfolio that you feel are really good and that you feel that will deliver some value to the reader as well, then you can start looking for companies in that niche. Say, for example, somebody who really loves cricket, they wrote a lot of articles about cricket. Then the companies that they should target would be companies that make cricketing goods or they make cricketing apps. There are so many brands related to cricket, right? So you just have to search for these kind of companies on Google. I'll give you my example, what I did. So when I started writing, I was writing articles mostly about self-improvement, my personal experiments that I did with my own life, and mental health, productivity, all these issues. So what I did was I used to search for productivity tools on Google. Then I got a lot of tools like Asana, Notion, so many famous tools. But as a new writer, Notion will not hire me, right? So one trick is to search for Notion alternatives. Then when you can search for Notion alternatives, you'll get a list of many tools which are relatively new compared to Notion. Then when you find one particular tool that you feel that, okay, is a nice fit for you, you have to go to their website and check, do they have a blog? If they don't have a blog, then you are the perfect fit for them because you can pitch to them and say that I'll write blogs for you. Or if they have a blog, do they have a good social media strategy? If they don't, then you can pitch that, yeah, I can do LinkedIn and Twitter for you. I can do Instagram for you. But before doing that, whatever you're pitching for, you need to have some experience to show. For example, if you're pitching for blogs, you need to have written at least 20 blogs. If you're pitching for social media, you need to have your own active social media profile, which is like credibility, right? Social proof. Then you can send them a pitch saying that I want to do this for you. And based on your portfolio, the client might reply or they might not reply. But you need to send a lot of cold emails at the start of your career. That's what I did. I think everybody does that at the start of their career. Send a cold email, send the proposal, and then when they reply, then you can get on a call and talk. And regarding, you asked how much should people charge, like there are so many different variations. Like I know writers in India who charge like 30 paisa per word. And there are people who charge $1 per word as well. When I started pitching for clients, I was already writing on Medium and I had about 10,000 followers on Medium. So I had a lot of social proof. So when I started out, I just set this rate for myself that if I write a 1,000-word article on Medium, it will make me like $200. So that's what I asked for the client for, like, give me $200 for this 1,000-word article. I thought it was too much, but the client agreed instantly. And then I have increased my rates since then. So if you are confused about how much you should charge, you can just ask yourself this question, like how much time will I take to write this article? And in this time, how much can I earn from other avenues? And that will be your answer, like how much you should charge. Also, you should be able to deliver value as well. Like you cannot say I'll charge $200 and then write something really trashy. So that quality also has to be there.
Right. No, you just mentioned, people who are charging 30 paisa per word and people who are charging $1 as well. What is the difference between these two people? Like skill-wise, mindset-wise, experience-wise, what makes this person different that they're able to charge $1 per word?
I think the skill factor is definitely there, but again, I have seen many talented people charging less. So I think the differentiating factor here is your own brand, your own personal brand, like how much you are worth and how much you think you're worth. Like you mentioned mindset, right? Like many people, they tend to doubt themselves a lot and they tend to undercharge a lot, or they tend to look for the wrong kind of clients whose paying power is less. So a lot of these factors are involved. So if you want really high paying clients, another trick that I use is that when I find the tool or find the website that I might write for, I just search that did this company get funding recently. So if they are well funded, then they'll have a good budget. So you can have a good conversation with them. They won't bargain with you and stuff. So a lot of these things are involved. But yeah, I think if you have like undeniable social proof, like you have like articles ranking 1 on Google and you have like many followers on social media, I think all of these factors help you in increasing your prices.
Makes sense. So you talked about how you had about 10,000 followers on Medium when you started working. How does Medium really work? There was recently a news that Medium is now allowing Indian writers to get paid through their platform. So like give me like a quick rundown of how Medium works and what is the importance of it and how can people in India get paid with that platform?
Right, sure. So Medium is an American blogging platform. It is a place where you can write long form articles for free. For example, I mentioned in the another answer that you need to write long form articles to build your portfolio, right? So if you make a website, there will be some costs involved, some initial learning curve. You have to learn WordPress, you have to learn Ghost, all these things. But on Medium, it's very simple. All you have to do is make your own profile and you can start publishing articles immediately. So Medium is a great place to start writing long form content. It's very simple. Just make a profile and start writing articles. You can add like pictures or graphs, whatever. The payment on Medium is through something called the Medium Partner Program, where the Medium model is like this. Like if you have joined Medium, you must have noticed that they have a $5 subscription fee for readers, right? So when a paying reader reads your story, then a part of their subscription fee goes to you because they spend time reading your story, right? So based on the number of hours your story has been read, you will get paid. And the payment there is really good because it's converted to US dollars INR. The conversion is really good and the payment is good. Medium, like you mentioned, Ishan, is opening up for Indian writers. It was supposed to happen in August 2023, but there have been some delays. So it has been delayed for 2 months. So once it starts, all you have to do is make a Medium profile, buy yourself a $5 subscription, link your bank account, and then when you write stories that makes the readers engage with the stories, they want to read more, they clap for the story, they highlight some parts of the story, then you can get paid based on how much time a reader spends interacting with your story.
Very interesting. And how do you increase your followership on Medium, and how does that matter? How does it affect?
Currently, Medium has recently made a major change in which writers also get a follow bonus. So if a reader, after reading your story, if they choose to follow you, then you will get some bonus, follower bonus. So this was not there before. This has just happened starting August 2023. And how to increase followers on Medium, I think it is same as how to increase followers on any platform. You have to show up regularly. You have to be consistent. You have to write quality content that make people want to follow you. Also, you have to figure out a niche, because on Medium, the relationship with readers is that they keep coming back to your story. So one day if you write a story about cricket and the next day you write something completely different like mental health, that might not work for you. So figuring out a niche and writing on that regularly, high quality articles, I think that's the key to growing your follower base. Like when I started on Medium in 2020, there was a time in a 3-month period, like 90-day period, I went on a marathon and I published 90 articles in 90 days. So that gave me the initial kickstart. So currently on Medium, I have almost 160k followers. I'm also the highest followed Indian writer on the platform. And all of this has happened only because of the consistency and showing up every day and writing good stuff, making the readers want to keep coming back to my profile.
You mentioned that there is a lot of scope in content writing, but there's also a lot of competition, right? So how can any person who's starting with content writing today differentiate themselves with the rest of the people? Is it something to do with the portfolio that they have? You just mentioned, right? The personal branding also helps out a lot. What are the other things that they can do that will help them become the top 1% of content writers worldwide?
Okay, so aside from portfolio and personal branding, I think you need to be really smart in searching for clients so that you can search for the right kind of clients. I know a writer who really writes amazing mental health articles, but they have not been able to find clients because they are approaching brands like Calm or brands that are really popular, right? So popular brands already have their own content team, so they're not going to hire new writers. So I think you need to initially you need really good client stalking skills. You need to find a client, you need to know a lot about them before you even pitch them. What are their needs? How can you help them? Because even clients, they receive a lot of cold emails, right? So if you can perfect your cold email in a way that exactly hits the sweet spot, that gives them exactly what they want, that can be helpful. So I think the word I'm looking for here is the pitching skills, the cold email skills or the pitching skills. And for that, you need to do a lot of research. That is one. And number two is, of course, you need insane writing skills. You need to be you need to read a lot for that before you become a writer, right? You need to read a lot. You need to understand the structure of high quality articles, and you need to know like what makes this article work and how can you make your articles work. So I think that comes from the constantly learning and reverse engineering popular articles that we talked about before.
Right. Anangsha, this has been a very informative session. I have one more question for you, and that is, who are the most interesting people in the content writing space that you look up to and you think people should also look up to for inspiration, for learning about their journey, and people who share very good resources for content writing?
Yes, definitely. So there is this person called Nicholas Cole. I think you might have heard of him. I have been following Nicholas Cole on Quora since 2014, and that at that time he was just starting out, and now he's like a multi-million dollar earning writer. So he's currently really active on Twitter. If you have heard of Ship 30 for 30, you will know Nicholas Cole. His writing is amazing. I would definitely suggest following Nicholas Cole. He has written a few books as well on the space of copywriting and ghostwriting. So he's definitely one person to follow. And then there is this lady on Medium. Her name is Sinem Gunel. She is from Turkey, if I'm not wrong. And she also shares a lot of writing resources on her Medium profile. She also has a Facebook group that is free to join, where there are constantly new resources being shared and new videos, new articles being shared. So these two people are my inspirations. I started my journey learning from them, and even now I consider them as my inspirations. So yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Anangsha, for joining us here and sharing your valuable insights. I hope my audience got to learn something from this. Guys, if you are watching this video till the very end right now as well, make sure that you share this video with your friend. Tag us, both Anangsha and me, on social and share the one lesson that you learned from this entire conversation. Also, if you have any questions around content writing or how to become a full-time content writer, let us know in the comments below, or you can also message Anangsha with the social handles in the description below. Thank you so much, Anangsha.
Thank you, Ishan. Thank you, everyone. Bye.